get up a trade idea for the Browns.
I'm trading Deshaun Watson and a second-round pick to the New York Giants for Daniel Jones. And hear me out. If you're the Cleveland Browns, you have Dorian Thompson-Robinson, you have Joe Flacco, and now a 27-year-old Daniel Jones who has 1 year left of guaranteed money for $36 million and an enormous amount of flexibility moving forward. And if you're the Giants, you're getting Deshaun Watson, who's 29, who's making $46 million a year for the next 3 years and a second-round pick. And to me, you need a frontline difference-making quarterback. Because, Bart, right now, if you're the Giants, how in the world do you win the NFC when you have to beat San Francisco, Green Bay, Dallas, Philly, and Detroit?
With Daniel Jones, right.
Yeah, with Daniel Jones. So, to me, Deshaun Watson hasn't played well the last couple of years, but he has a high upside, and he's only 29 years old.
So
who says no?
The Browns say no.
Arizona. Mike T, explain that Tannenbaum.
All right. J.J. McCarthy is 6 years younger than Kyler Murray. I think he has a really high floor. This guy lost one game in college. He is perfect size, and he's only get better because he was in an offense that just didn't showcase his talent. So when we could save $27 million a year and be younger and more durable than Kyler Murray, who hasn't played a full season since 2020, that's an easy decision for the Arizona Cardinals.
So they would take the quarterback there. And then what of Kyler Murray? Go through the rest of the Tannenbaums here.
Yep. So we're going to trade Kyler Murray and a third-round pick to the Minnesota Vikings for the 11th pick. This actually works out really well. It's a very tradable contract because he has guaranteed money this year, next year. And now if you're Minnesota, you're actually 9 years younger than Kirk Cousins and $10 million per year cheaper. So this is actually a good move for Minnesota. And now if you're Arizona with the 11th pick, you could take a corner, which they desperately need. So to me, I don't understand who would say no between Arizona and Minnesota. They both get younger and less expensive than their current situation.
That he doesn't, no matter what it is you want to do.
Mike T?
Yeah, I think he would actually be a great fit with the New York Jets, and here's why.
Oh, my gosh.
Why you want to
Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson?
Absolutely. Pay him $1 million and let him resurrect his career. I actually have experience with this. Vinny Testaverde got cut by the Baltimore Ravens. We signed him in June and went to the championship game that year. So if you're Russell Wilson and you don't get
Nola early, Mike.
Hey Bart, where else is he going to go? He has to resurrect his career. So if you have to sit for a year, why not sit behind one of the greatest of all times and then be a free agent again? It's when I was
reasons.
Guys, where is he going to go? He's 36 years old. No one's going to hand him a starting job. He's going to have to be a backup somewhere. That's why, to me, when I was thinking about Russell Wilson in Atlanta, I don't think the timing really works there.
Gross, speak some sense into it.
How does it work with the Jets? Do you know who's running the Jets right now?
Aaron Rodgers.
That's correct.
Yeah.
What do you think he's going to say if they want to bring in Russell Wilson?
So the Jets need three things. They need a backup quarterback, they need an offensive lineman that they're going to draft, and they need a receiver. Who is the veteran, inexpensive quarterback that could go in? What really sunk the Jets last year, that's a good name. What really sunk the Jets last year was they didn't have a competent backup. Gardner Minshew's not leaving Indy. So that's what I'm saying. If you're the Jets, you got to find somebody. It's not as easy to find as you think it is.
Best quarterback in this class, Mike.
Greeny, it's BYU's Zach Wilson. Zach is a great athlete with really good arm strength, and as the ball gets further down the field, somehow his accuracy gets better. The one knock on him is going to be they lost to Coastal Carolina. He actually played well in that game, and to me, the definition of greatness is he's elevated that program at BYU.
All right, and so then that brings up the question that the New York Jets will have at number 2. Who's better, Zach Wilson or Sam Darnold?
Greedy, right now, 31 miles away from where you're sitting, Joe Douglas is asking that. An easy answer, it's Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson's a better quarterback today. He's more accurate, he's a better athlete, and Sam Darnold continues to turn the ball over. 54 turnovers in the NFL, 22 interceptions at USC. Zach Wilson is the better quarterback for the New York Jets.
And again, these are the picks he would make if he were making the decisions, not what he expects to happen. And he, if he were sitting in the Jets' shoes at number 2, would take Zach Wilson, as they are overwhelmingly expected to do that after Trevor Lawrence would go number 1 to Jacksonville. And then if he were making the decision, he would have the Niners grabbing Mac Jones from Alabama, had the spectacular year in every way, winning the national championship. And then if he were in Atlanta, he would take Trey Lance from North Dakota State to become Matt Ryan's heir apparent. That's a bit of a surprise, perhaps. Here's a bigger one. Mike Tannenbaum says that if he were in Carolina right now with the 8th pick, he would still take Justin Fields, despite having traded for Sam Darnold yesterday. Let me show you the rest of Mike T's mock draft top 10. You see a lot of the usual suspects up there, a few names that you might be expecting to be a little bit higher, like Devontae Smith. Again, these are the picks that Mike himself would make, not what he's projecting to have happen. But as I bring the crew in here, I'm sure a lot of people will say to you, Mike Tannenbaum, and I'll tell everybody, you sent us these picks, then the trade happened. We said, okay, we'll give you a mulligan. Go ahead and change what you want to do at number 8. And you said, no, I'm still, if you're doing it, you're still taking Justin Fields.
Let's ask you this, Mike T. Why Lance over Justin Fields?
Yeah, Booger, that's a great discussion. It's really close. I just think Trey Lance has a little bit more long-term upside. I had him going to Atlanta where he could sit for a year. You know, he had 166 yards rushing in a championship game. He threw 1 interception in college. It's a rare skill set. I think the way Mel put it before, you know, Mel has more experience than anybody doing this. It's a very unique sort of fact pattern, but I just think over a longer period of time, he's slightly ahead of Justin Fields. I like Justin Fields a lot. The Indiana and Northwestern games, obviously the 2 games he didn't play as well, but he only had 6 interceptions in his career against a rugged Big Ten conference. So it's close, but I just think there's something really special and compelling about Trey Lance. And if we give him time to develop, I really like his ceiling.
Look, we've...
Hendon Hooker, to me, this guy is going to be Justin Herbert 2.0. He could have been the first pick in the draft if he was healthy. Transferred from Virginia Tech, 37 starts. When you watch the Alabama game against that great Alabama defense, he tore them up. He led the nation in yards per pass attempt. I think he has a flawless game, impeccable character. I love his game, and I think he's going to be a frontline starter. And then lastly...
And your eyes are bugged out. Is it Hendon Hooker that's got you going?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Not Seattle taking a guy, Hendon Hooker. So there's been one quarterback in the common era of the NFL draft that has been over the age of 25 taken in the first round. That was Brandon Weeden. Does that concern you with Hooker, who's 25, coming off of an ACL tear? That's less concerning to you than 53% completion percentage with Anthony?
Age doesn't matter because I know we're going to get a second contract, and actually the ACL, oddly to me, is a little bit of a positive from this standpoint. They just extended Geno Smith.
Sure.
Geno Smith's going to be their starter this year, guys. So let the ACL come along.
Yep.
I think without the ACL injury, I don't think he's there at 5. And his ceiling to me is of a frontline starting NFL quarterback. There are no flaws in his game. He's a good athlete. He has great downfield accuracy. When you really break it down, people say, oh, Josh Heupel's offense, he's getting the ball out quickly. That's really not true. Like, the stats back it up. He was number 1 in yards per attempt.
I think he's a very good player. I called a couple of his college games. I called the game against LSU. He was tremendous. Just the age and the injury. So if we take him this year, he sits this year, that means he's 26 years old at least.
Next January.
Right.
Yeah.
He's 26 in January of 24?
Yes.
So he's almost 27 when he takes his first NFL snaps.
But guys, if the 3 of us were running an NFL team and I said we could bring somebody in who has impeccable character,
Sure.
impeccable physical characteristics, we're going to have him for at least 10 years.
But I would argue to you that that's Anthony Richardson. Impeccable character, impeccable talent, tremendous intelligence and character, and he's 6 or 7 years younger.
Right, but Dan, when you put their resumes next to each other,
Sure.
one started 37 games, one started 13
So
games.
is the game started the concern for you when it comes to that?
Well, when you really study it over the last 50 years, Coach Parcells, who had a massive imprint on how I look at quarterbacks, always talked about every 10 games started, they should improve. But what I would say is, not only is it the game started, but when you look at how they played, one led the nation in yards per pass attempt.
Yeah.
The other one was 115th in accuracy.
I will say, I mean, I'm a huge
In time, Mike T, as an executive, a general manager, how would you see this?
Really smart by the Raiders. I would have signed him, not just working about it, I would have signed him. It tells me that they have concerns about Nick Mullins and Jarrett Stidham as a backup. And by signing him now, Greeny, it gives him about 6 weeks to get to know the playbook, get back into the NFL routine. So when they hit training camp, he's ready to go. And as you just alluded to, he's one hit away from playing meaningful snaps. So we have history at this. With the Jets back in 1998, we signed Vinny Testaverde. He actually took us to the championship game. So it is not out of the question that he could be signed and be productive this year for the Raiders.
I think he's the guy I would trust the most to deliver at a high level. Mike T seems to disagree.
Guys, we're way overcomplicating this.
Why?
8 days ago, Brock Purdy was on the precipice of winning the Super Bowl, and but for one of 12 plays, including
There's the butt again.
having Kansas City at a 4th and 1, Brock Purdy would be a Super Bowl champion,
not even
young,
close.
ascending. So to me, this is an easy
We
one.
would have said the same thing a year ago about Jalen Hurts, but now we're wondering after the year he had, right? Like he's a candidate for this answer, but not as clear cut as
Another
it was
but.
365
To
days
me,
ago.
is a contender this year. Is that not the way you see it?
No, I think that's fair, but let me tell you a story. In the late 90s, I was in the coaching box of the New York Jets charting plays, and Bill Parcells, the head coach, was the play caller. It worked so well, Greeny, as you know, we went to the championship game. Bill Belichick was the defensive coordinator and witnessed it firsthand. If there's anybody else on the plan that can do it successfully this year, it's Bill Belichick, and he will manage the game. This is a team with 2 great running backs, 2 great tight ends, a really good offensive line, and in my opinion, a slightly underrated collective receiving core. So I think the CEO of Bill Belichick will manage this team. They'll be great in the kicking game like they always have. And I think they have a young superstar at the quarterback position who led a team last year to the playoffs, and they scored more points than the Patriots did with Tom Brady the year before.
But look, if you